Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are we this morning? Okay? My name's Richard Brewer. I'm the Technical Service Executive for RTITB. And really, I want to talk to you today about the relationship between technology, vulnerable road users, the drivers, and our responsibilities as employers. So, what is the problem then, really? Well, when we look at the road using community, pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, cars, light goods vehicles and vans, then we can see that there is a disparity with regards to accidents and incidents. Here we have casualties per billion passenger miles in the green and fatalities per passenger miles in the orange. So as you can see, there's it's disproportionately large towards that vulnerable road using community. With regards to that, traffic levels have increased by 2.4%, so we know that they are going up. We also know that casualties are going up to suit as well. So we know there's a problem there. But what's causing this problem? Well, actually, it is a combination of factors. Driver behaviour alone. We can look at risk-taking. So how does that occur? We've all been guilty of it at some point or another. Could be complacency. We can all become complacent at some time. Monotony. If we're on long roads, then we can suffer from highway hypnosis, where we almost get hypnotised by the road ahead because nothing changes. Time constraints. We're all busy people in our professional life and our private life. There are some people out there as well who use the roads who simply don't care about our fellow road users. Their only concern is what they're going to be doing when they leave that vehicle. We've got aggression as well. Road rage is the obvious one, but there's also positional bullying. Have any of you been in a position where you've been at a junction or wherever, where a larger vehicle, I'm not talking about a goods vehicle as such, but a larger vehicle than yours has pulled right up behind you? And it's quite intimidating when you look at it like that. It's a bit of a might is right scenario, isn't it? And naturally we've got distractions that affect us as well. That's internal with our various bits of technology, CDs, sat-navs. It may even be eating, drinking. We shouldn't, but we've probably all been guilty of it at some point or another. External distractions. I quite like Jaguars myself, and especially being in the Jaguar arena, see a nice Jag XF going along the road, then you do get distracted. Advertisements, things we want in our personal lives, we do easily get distracted as human beings. And as I said earlier, pressures of the job. So all of these are factors that do cause us issues. But what can help us? Well, actually, the growth of technology. When we look at large goods vehicles themselves, since perhaps the mid-60s through to the mid-2000s, then there's been very little difference. Yes, there's more cab comfort. Yes, there's more power. But with regards to technology, there hasn't been much change. But in the last 10 years, for a number of reasons, there's been a massive growth in technology. And that really has moved on at a pace. As we can see in the illustration we've got here, we've come a long way in a very short time. So much so with the Samsung truck on the far end, which actually has an LCD screen on the rear doors to allow you to see what the road ahead is like. Jury's still out on that one, but it's again, this is the pace that we're moving at. But what is out there at the moment? Well, we do have cameras, forward, rear, side cameras, which give us that extra set of eyes. They give us crucial evidence when incidents occur, don't they? They can reduce insurance vehicle costs as well. We've got better lighting on vehicles. We've got audible warnings that warn other road users that we're in the vicinity or for the actions we're about to make in that vehicle. It assists in reducing the risks to those other road users. We also have telematics, which, being at the Microlise conference, is quite apt. And again, they provide efficient routing, they support efficient driving, and really help improve efficiency. So technology is moving at a pace. But the question I want to ask is technology the answer on its own? Can our attitude towards technology actually make the problems worse if we're not careful? How many of us have got smartphones in the audience? Just a quick yes? Yes, thank you. If I was to take one of your smartphones, look into your phone book and give you a name, would you be able to tell me the number? No, you wouldn't. Yet if we were to lose that phone, for whatever reason, that could put us in a compromising position, couldn't it? I've got a car with reversing sensors front and rear. When I get into my wife's car that hasn't got it, do I feel as competent as a driver? No. And if you're all honest with yourselves, then you will feel the same. And this is the thing, if we're not careful, it can cause us to suffer from skill fade and actually make us lazy. So, how does technology work? But more importantly, how do we work? And how do we work in collaboration with the technology out there? If we can understand it, then what we can do is we can make ourselves much more efficient and able to deal with those vulnerable road users out there. And what I want you to do is I want you to consider your journey here today. Here's some examples of the kind of things that you may be asked. I'm not going to go through the lot, but just looking at some of them, if I was to ask you, did you use a sat-nav? Was it in map view? Was it in 3D view? Did you see any emergency vehicles without the lights on? Did you come through where the speed limits are set on the motorways as well? The smart motorway system? I should say 99% of you did, because M42, M6 have both got them fitted. But when we break it down and we look at it, actually, the green are things that it's good that you probably saw them. Emergency vehicles with the lights on, you probably did see the vulnerable speed limits, you probably did notice broken down vehicles, but you would have also taken a lot of information from the red areas. The other drivers who annoyed you, you can't forget about those, they tend to stick with you. You can't brush them off. Again, listening to the radio, who was on, who sent you that message over your phone? I'm not saying you answered, but you would have known who sent you that message. But let's look at the grey areas as well. Cyclists, did you pass any? How many did you pass? How many children did you pass on the way as well? If you're honest with yourself, you probably don't know. Right, it's a bit early for children, but when you think about these things on your standard journey, then you're taking a lot of information in, but the majority of the information you're taking in is the red, and that's clutter. So, is it a matter of brain power? Well, actually, there's a leading academic by the name of Kwabena Boahen at Stanford University who says the brain is actually able to do more calculations per second than even the fastest computer. So, it's an issue of focus and prioritisation. So we can do it, but we just need to ensure that we do it in the correct manner. When we think about the supercomputer link, well, actually, think about the information that the brain takes in. We select information to focus on. We process that information. We encode it to put it into our memory, and we store it. So really, there's no difference. But what we do with our computers, especially our work computers, we'll defrag them, we'll send them away so as they work more efficiently, and we'll put programs on them to help them work the way we want them to. What's the difference between our computer and our own brain? Shouldn't we do the same? Because when we think about it, the one constant in the cab is the driver. So drivers are very well adapted to deal with anticipation. Technology isn't. Technology works off parameters, certain parameters. The driver in a cab doesn't. They can use certain techniques that are going to assist them in dealing with these kind of situations. I'm not saying we shouldn't use technology, far from it. We should embrace this technology. But what we should do is work in harmony with it. Like I say, technology or solution will only work within those certain ranges, yeah? Which could grow that risk altogether if we purely rely on the technology that is fitted. So let's just have a quick look at this brief clip. Standard drive home, along the road, got a junction coming up, there's a police station on the right there, car coming towards us. Looks a fairly safe environment, doesn't it? So, if this was our journey home, what's the worst that can happen? It was okay yesterday. Oh! Straight away, we've got that young child there. Now, if we look beforehand above the car, he throws his ball up. If we use those techniques to scan and assess our areas properly, then actually we can put ourselves in a much better position, and that's the driver. Would technology have necessarily picked that up? No, it wouldn't. And like I say, the one constant on the vehicle is the driver. So let's not forget about them. Technology is brilliant, but it's there to assist the driver in their daily duties. So how do we equip them to be able to respond more effectively to these situations? Well, what we can do is we can give them techniques to use, scanning techniques to combat optical issues, not just looking at what's in front of them, but middle distance and long distance too. Sweeping from side to side, looking for really, the things that are less obvious, those hazards that may be evolving or potentially evolving. We can get them to use spoken thought. How many people here have used commentary whilst driving? Yeah, how did you find it? Good? Yeah? We tend to call it spoken thought. If you say commentary, then it frightens people to death. But spoken thought can show you how much information you take on as an individual within that time. We can give them the right kind of training in driving attitudes and behaviour so they understand themselves better and the way they react to things. And also train them on the use and limitations of that onboard equipment, can't we? Hang on. Sorry. I do apologise. Sorry. It's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? Well, actually, yes, it grabs your attention for those of you who are waning. I'm using technology to give you this information. If that had failed, what would I have done? Well, actually, I've got it on a memory stick. I've got backup. But let's just put it in the context of a driver. What happens when a driver hits a cyclist they just didn't see? Because that technology has either malfunctioned or it hasn't been fitted, but they've been used to using it. They've become over-reliant on it and they've suffered from skill fade. Can we rely on that untrained driver to keep their eye on the ball? Because technology is a safety net. It's not the whole solution. We need to provide well-trained drivers who have good driving standards and behaviours to work with this technology to get the best result for all of us and our fellow road users. How do we do that? Well, here at RTITB, we do that through our Master Driver CPC programme. We don't just focus on the obvious, we look at the less obvious as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for listening. Thank you.